Hey PPC pros, Andy Craig here again with Ad Habit, where we partner with brands to grow revenue and profits on Amazon, turning your clicks into cash. Welcome back to our beginner PPC masterclass series. In this final video of this series, we're diving deep into the essential PPC tasks that you need to master to keep your campaigns running like a well-oiled machine. Whether it's optimizing your bids or staying on top of your keyword research, we've got you covered in this series, so let's get started. Now, if you haven't watched the previous videos in this series, I do suggest you start at the beginning and you work your way back. Feel free to watch this video first, but it's going to be a quick overview of everything we've learned throughout this series. The first thing we're going to talk about is bid optimization. At Ad Habit, we use project management tools. We use ClickUp to manage everything, right? We want to be reminded on when we need to do the task because we have daily tasks, we have weekly tasks, we have monthly tasks, we have quarterly tasks, right? And we need to be reminded on when we need to do those things, especially, the further out those tasks get, right? The first one, like I said, is bid optimization. Now, this is something we recommend you do a couple times a week. Sometimes you need to do it once a week. It depends how much data you're gathering. And we like to break everything down into what your conversion rate is, how many clicks you're getting. If you have a 10% conversion rate, then every 10 clicks, you should pretty much optimize a bid. Some targets are going to get 10 clicks a day. Some targets are going to get 10 clicks a month, right? So we really like to use that data-backed approach to figure out how often we need to adjust our bids. And we've set up systems on how to do that inside Ad Habit. And this is even part of our training that we do with brands, we do with in-house teams of other agencies, and how we optimize the bids, right? So use the data-backed approach. I suggest to optimize your bids a couple times a week, maybe once with a bulk file, maybe once through Amazon Campaign Manager in the targeting tab, but make sure you're constantly optimizing your bids to tweak everything to get that target ACoS that you are looking for and to maximize your sales, right? Because some of those targets are going to come through and have a very, very good ACoS. But if you were able to raise the bids, you might bring in a lot more orders than you're currently getting. But if you just let it run, you're gonna have a great ACoS possibly, but sacrifice those orders. Create yourself a task, optimize those bids multiple times a week. That's probably the most important thing with Amazon advertising is optimizing your bids. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is using those bid modifiers, optimizing your placements, right? If you're using your placement modifiers, I suggest to optimize those at least once per week as well, to constantly tweak them. The same thing with the bids, to maximize your orders that are coming from each placement at that target ACoS you're looking for. Now, we've tested this a ton in Ad Habit, and we've never found the best results when we're setting a very, very high placement modifier and trying to keep our bids very low. And one really good way to track this is to look at that top of search impression share and to look at your market share coming through brand analytics. Because, if you look back at our previous videos, we go over that quite a bit. So track your top of search impression share on those most important keywords and track your market share using your search query performance report if you are a brand registered seller on Amazon. Now, when we're optimizing our placement modifiers, we tend to do slow optimization, move it 5, 10, 20% at a time. We don't like to give very big adjustments. And when you are optimizing those placement modifiers with a big adjustment, make sure you go in and edit your bid, because that's going to have an effect on what that cost per click is at the end of the day. If you have a 100% top of search modifier and you have a $1 bid, that CPC can go up to $2. So be very careful with that, especially if you're using dynamic bids up and down with the modifiers in place. That could allow Amazon to really put your bid extremely high. So be careful when you're optimizing that. Make sure you understand your bidding strategy as well as your bids. Now, for most of the accounts we're in, most of the audits that I do on accounts, we usually see rest of search and top of search performing the best, but product pages tend to get a ton of impressions. And we haven't noticed the best when we just try to eliminate product pages completely, because we also lose impression share on those keywords as well. So like I said, keep the bids a little bit higher and start slow with those placement modifiers to make sure you're not losing out on potential sales and you lose impression share and possibly drop in ranking. Now, just like with bid optimization, if it is above your target ACoS, lower your bid modifier. If it's below your target ACoS, raise your bid modifier. Do that slowly and you're going to maximize your orders coming from each one of those placements. The next PPC task that we like to do is budget optimization. And just like those placement optimizations, we like to do this usually once per week, while also doing daily checks on that budget tab in your campaign manager, because it'll tell you if you are running out of budget. Now, another thing to be wary of is make sure you don't have account level budgets and maybe sponsored product level budgets or portfolio level budgets that are constantly running out of budget throughout the day. This is good for temporary getting your ACoS under control, but it's not a long-term strategy. Your best campaigns you want to run all the time, and your worst campaigns you want to optimize to get them where you want them to be. So if you have those in place, find a way out of it, right? You want those good campaigns to always run. Now, just like with everything else, if we have a good ACoS, we're going to raise our budgets. If we have a poor ACoS, we're either going to leave our budgets alone or decrease them, depending if we're trying to really scale up, maximizing revenue, or if we're trying to maximize profitability. If we're really focusing on profits, we will lower the budgets when necessary or possibly pause our campaigns. But if you're really just trying to grow, just raise your budgets on your best performers, optimize the campaigns on your poor performers to get them operating the way you want them to be. And another strategy that you may want to use, right? If you are trying to limit the budgets, you could use a portfolio level budget and actually move those poor performing campaigns over to a different portfolio and set a daily budget cap for those so that you get those under control. As they start to perform better, move them into your other portfolio that is constantly running all day. All right. But in order to optimize, you need data, right? You have to spend the money to get the data in order to figure out if it is a campaign that works for you. Now, another task that we like to do is regular keyword research. We have a monthly task that we go through on each one of the products that we manage, each one of my own products, and we do regular keyword research to always add the keywords. Markets change, the way people look for things are different. So you want to constantly go through and do a full keyword research update to make sure you're grabbing new keywords that may have not existed the last time you did your keyword research. So you're constantly up to date on the most relevant keywords that are going to drive clicks and sales to your products. We like to use Helium 10. There is a link below. It's my favorite research tool, as well as Data Dive. Data Dive is a great one. Helium 10, we use Brain Analytics, we use Search Query Performance Report, and you've seen some other videos where we use FBA Excel. FBA Excel Keyword Dominator is what we use to grab the data from all those different sources, put it into one spreadsheet so we can make sure we're grabbing all the keywords that we currently don't have and we're currently not going after in the ads, especially keywords that we're already ranking on. We want to push PPC sales to increase our sales velocity and hopefully start to move up an organic rank on those keywords, get more PPC sales, more organic, lower your BSR, and just make more money at the end of the day. Now, this is a big one here, search term harvesting. If you're not going through that search term report, going through grabbing the keywords that are working from your auto, your broad, your phrase, moving them into exact match, finding the keywords that are working really well, phrase and broad, moving them into exact, and just make sure that you're getting good coverage on those keywords to maximize that traffic and figure out which one works the best, right? Sometimes we perform much better in phrase than we do in exact. Sometimes our broad campaign is the best one that performs. So if you have a keyword that may not be performing well in exact, test it out in broad and phrase. It may perform much better. You may get a better CPC. Amazon isn't always like a one size fits all thing. You have to test things to see how they work. So make sure you're analyzing a keyword, seeing where it's performing, see where it might be missing, maybe try it out in sponsored brands if it's not working in sponsored products, so on and so forth. The goal is to get more sales, to get more organic ranking, lower that BSR, and like I said, grow your revenue, grow your profits. So you want to make sure you are going through that search term report, grabbing the good performing keywords and launching them across multiple ad types and match types. And while you're in that search term report, you also want to go through and make sure you're adding negatives, right? We do it at the same time because it's easier. Like we get our search term report, we add the negatives. Like you've seen in the other videos, we like to go two fronts, right? If it has above our ACoS threshold, too high of an ACoS, not driving a ton of orders, we'll add those as negatives. If it hits our click threshold or a spend threshold without orders, we add those as negatives, right? This is part of cutting back that wasted ad spend that you should constantly be doing. I recommend to do that once or twice per week. If you do have the time, go in there and constantly comb out, figure out the search terms that are wasting your money and get rid of those by adding them as negatives. And then we also do a process to where we do a n-gram analysis, which I think I've made some videos about as well. If you don't find them, put it in the comments. I'll make sure to make a video on n-gram analysis. And what that's going to do is it's going to find a single keyword and see how many times that keyword showed up in my search term report and what my total ad spend and ACoS and sales and everything are on that keyword. And if it's a poor performer, it has a super high ACoS or it never drives any orders, we'll start to use those to add negative phrase keywords. These negative phrase match keywords cut back a ton of waste and prevent future wasted ad spend from happening. So make sure you're doing the n-gram analysis. We do it with single keywords, double keywords, and triple keywords to make sure we're going through and cutting back any future waste before it hits our account. And you're going to see a much better ACoS and your ad spend is going to be much more efficient in the future. And the next thing we're going to go and harvest is going to be that search query performance report. In that search query performance report, Amazon is going to give you the data of people finding your products in search, what your impressions are, your clicks, your add to carts, and your purchases. And you can go in there and figure out which keywords you're getting sales on, which ones you're getting clicks and add to carts, and start to go after those keywords in your PPC as well. And this report is going to cover PPC clicks as well as organic. Okay, so you're going to see both in there. So this is really the only spot where you can find out where you're getting sales organically that you're not getting through PPC, right? So go through that report, make sure you're harvesting those keywords and adding them into your PPC strategy to grow your sales. And FBA Excel, once again, has a really good search query performance tool to analyze that and do the math for you. So they'll find those keywords that are performing really well in there and have a much better potential to perform in your PPC. So really great tool. Once again, link in the description below. We'll do a complete deep dive analysis on that in another video coming here soon. If you want to watch it, just subscribe to the channel. And I already mentioned it previously, but new campaign launch, right? We want to go through, figure out where we're performing across multiple match types, where we're performing in sponsored brands, and make sure we have good ad coverage across all those ad types and match types. And I recommend to do that probably like at least once a month. Go through, look at your ads coverage, see where you need to launch more campaigns. I do a lot of audits and I see people, they only have the campaign in exact match and it might not be performing so well. So make sure you're testing it across everything. That's our philosophy here at Ad Habit. Test it, see if it works. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't, do less of it, okay? And another task that we probably do once a month, maybe once every 2 months, is SKU optimization. Go through into your PPC campaigns. If you have those multi-ASIN, multi-SKU campaigns, you're going to find certain SKUs perform much better. So what we tend to do is go through and analyze that. Some of the SKUs will pause. We'll make sure we're maximizing our ad traffic on the best performing SKUs and take it away from the least performing. Now, when we are launching campaigns, we launch campaigns by parent listing. So if you have, let's say, a t-shirt, you have a black, red, blue, white, maybe your black and white perform much better than your blue and red. And in those general campaigns where people are just looking for a t-shirt. So what we'll do is we'll shut off the colors that aren't performing well and make sure we're sending all of our ad traffic towards that best performer, right? And then we'll also create specific campaigns for people looking for that specific variation. All the red t-shirt keywords we put in a red t-shirt campaign, so on and so forth. But for those category basic keywords, we'll make sure we figure out which SKU is performing the best and send the ad traffic towards that. And the next one we want to look at is bidding strategy optimization. I do a lot of audits and I see that people are using multi-bidding strategies like dynamic bids up and down, dynamic bids down only, and then fixed bids, right? They all have their different place in Amazon PPC. And if you use it and it's working, keep using it, right? But I suggest to test it, right? If you're using fixed bids, maybe switch to dynamic bids down only in a campaign and test that for a week, especially if you have a super high ACoS and fixed bids. Maybe test dynamic bids down only and see if that's going to drive you lower CPCs, that's going to not hurt your orders and give you a better ACoS. And if you do decide to use dynamic bids up and down, I suggest to do that with your bids starting low because that can tend to spend a lot of money. And most of the time what we see is keeping our bids low in certain campaigns like gold panning or auto campaigns with dynamic bids up and down can bring in a lot of sales at a good ACoS. So test it if you haven't yet, but be very wary of it and test those different bidding strategies to see which one is going to drive the best results. Now, what we do for a lot of products that are just launching, we will use fixed bids sometimes to really try to push the traffic, push the impressions and the clicks. But over time, we will test moving it to dynamic bids down only. And even though we are PPC people for the most part, we do manage accounts with full account management and do creatives and SEO and the copywriting as well. Most of our accounts that we do are just PPC. But as PPC, we need inventory to sell in order to run ads. So we are constantly doing inventory checks weekly to make sure our stock levels are where they need to be. Especially with in 2024, Amazon has launched, their different rules with low inventory fees, high inventory fees that have been around for a while. We want to be right in that sweet spot to where we're not running out of stock, we're not getting charged extra fees. So you want to be very tight on that inventory management and make sure you have a plan with your supplier, with your whole supply chain management to have the stock ready and also predict when your products are seasonal, and especially around the Q4 when a lot of product sales go up, we want to be prepared for that. So make sure you have tasks that are good for your inventory checks. Like I said, we use ClickUp for everything. So ClickUp, our project management tool, it reminds us every time we need to do a task. I use it for my personal life. I use it for my business. I use it for to buy a birthday present for a kid's birthday. I use it for everything. Project management tool has changed my life, and I definitely suggest you use it. Now, we've talked about this a ton, rank tracking and rank campaign optimization. If you want to try to grow your ranking, the only way to really do it is to track it. Figure out what works, look at that top of search impression share, the market share, track that organic ranking, your sponsored ranking, and try different tactics in order to grow that organic rank, right? If you're converting really well on a keyword, that is a really good sign that you might be able to rank for it if you're not already doing it. But what you need to do is really measure that stuff, check out what placements you're doing. So if you don't have tasks set up to track that stuff and you're not measuring all the KPIs that comes with it, it's going to be a lot harder to rank on keywords if you're not putting the effort into it. And one of the most important things is metric reporting and review, right? Even if it's your own products and you're doing this for yourself, I suggest to make sure you analyze all the data. You look at a report without any emotion and try to decide what's going wrong, what needs to be fixed, or what's going right, and what do we need to do more of to hit our KPIs and hit our goals that we're looking for. So I suggest to do weekly reports to yourself, do a monthly report to analyze your performance and see what needs to change to hit the goals that you're trying to hit. And to bring on that goals subject, right? That last thing that we're going to talk about is updating your goals, right? You don't want to set a goal in the beginning and just stick to that forever, right? Once you hit a goal, set a new goal. You always want to have something you're striving for. You always want to improve something. Even if you're making tons of money on Amazon, there's still things that can be tweaked. There's still things that change that can be perfected to raise the revenue, to raise your profits. Maybe it's even launching a new product because all your products are at the top of page 1. You're maximizing your sales. Maybe launching more products, more variations, multi-packs. Maybe those might be some of your goals to raise the revenue and profits if that is your goal. That's a wrap on today's essential PPC tasks. Keep these tasks in your regular routine and you'll be on your way to PPC success in no time. Hit that like button if you found this helpful, and don't forget to subscribe for more expert tips from Andy at AdHabit. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep optimizing and turning those clicks into cash. I will see you in the next video.